All right. Hey, good people. Welcome to the Real Talk with A and J. I'm Jay.
I'm A.
Yeah, man. We're gonna go ahead and get this party started. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Excited, man. Excited. We got our first pilot out the way.
I
Moving
mean,
on to the next week. I'm excited, man. We got another good one for him today, I hope.
absolutely, absolutely. So, what we today we're gonna talk about the weight of expectations, navigating society. No, that's not what we're talking about. That is what we're talking about.
Yeah, but in the mix, we're talking about finding yourself.
Finding yourself.
Yes, sir. Finding
Finding yourself.
yourself. But before we get started, can we have just a quick moment of prayer, brother?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Dear Father, thank you so much for allowing us to come together to share topics, to share real talk, and to just salute you in the process and praise you in the process for allowing this platform, allowing this foundation for us to share and to come together to just talk and be better men. And as iron sharpen irons, that's what we hope to be doing tonight. So just thank you for allowing us to do that work and to do kingdom work for you. And thank you for everything, Lord.
Amen. Amen. All right, so let's get this started because finding yourself, I think, is an essential part for everybody. Like I find that a lot of people wear masks.
Ooh, we just talking about that last week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's it's critical to be able to find yourself. So let's talk first off. Like, have you ever had to like what was your journey like in trying to find yourself?
A lot of twists, a lot of turns. It was a roller coaster, to say the least. Definitely wasn't just a straight path. Finding myself, to be honest, I first had to realize I was lost, and that took some accountability and some acceptance to say I don't know anything about who I really am. I don't know anything about what I like to do. I've been living for somebody else or for other people my whole life, and to come to that realization and to have to accept that was a big one. Talk about having to practice some humility and humbling myself. I had to really turn from pride and ego and start really trying to look for understanding and discernment. And the only way I was able to do that was through surrender. Through surrender, slowly but surely, I gained my identity. And gaining my identity was more so not needing validation from people to identify myself through or with, but I was just identifying myself through my higher power. That brought along purpose with a multitude of other things. But in finding myself, it was really about isolating myself from what I used to do, being in solitude, and we'll talk about the difference between the two in a minute, but isolating myself from what I used to do and being in solitude to really reflect on where I've been, what I've been doing, where I'm at presently, where I was presently, and where I'm trying to move forward to. And the crazy thing was, I didn't even know where I was trying to move forward to because I had been so comfortable in misery for so long, not knowing that I was comfortable in misery. But
Mhm.
when it finally, when I finally hit rock bottom, or when everything hit, and I was just like, whoa, there's no one here anymore. There's nobody here to help me. It's just my higher power. That's when I knew that changes had to be made. And that's when I realized I didn't know who I was. And again, I think we talked about this last week. You asked me a question when I was going through some of my most darkest times. And you said, what is, what is it that you like to do? And I couldn't answer that.
Right.
And that actually set the foundation for me starting to soul search and saying, God, I need to start getting closer to you so that I can really start to get in touch with myself and closer with myself and start to love myself. And it kind of sprang forth from that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you said the first thing was you had to realize didn't know yourself, that you was lost.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that's such a journey because early on, I think we're all kind of lost, kind of just trying to find our way, trying to, especially like your teens and your 20s, you kind of like trying to fit in, right? And so you're trying to make yourself fit this mold, which maybe you do fit, maybe you don't fit. And so in there, you're not really finding yourself. You're more so trying to find a group that you can mold to versus a group that's made for you. You know what I'm saying? And so when did you start? Like Well, because we are early 40s. You know what I mean. So we've experienced some life.
Yes, a lot of life.
When did that journey start? Like, when do you think you was at the point where you was like, you know what, I'm really starting to find out who Ansu is?
It came right after I got out of rehabilitation. Right after rehabilitation, the journey really started because now I'm on the road to recovery. What I mean by that is
When
rehabilitation.
was that? Like, how old were you?
I was 40 at the time, 40 years old. From 19 to 39 years old, I was in active addiction, never missed a day of drinking or drugging. And that was my life. And I thought I liked that life. I didn't see anything wrong with that life while that was going on. I partied, I chased, I did it up, I lived everything to the extreme, and I thought that that was just how I was going to live for the rest of my life. And slowly but surely, the people that I would party with and chase with and drink with and drug with started to drift away. And slowly but surely, the money that I had to party and chase and have energy for started to drift away. All of the things that supported me in being able to live that lifestyle started to depart me. And what I was left with was a physical addiction, a mental addiction, but most of all, a spiritual addiction to that lifestyle.
Mm,
And once I realized that no one was there for me anymore and there was no support system to be able to support that, I didn't know what to do because that was my life. And I hit rock bottom and ended up in the hospital and was urged to go seek help at that point in time. And I took that. I took that urge and went to go get some help. And it was through the process of rehabilitation, I think I was there for about 60 days, that I realized that I needed help, but I didn't know how to really get that help. I knew how to get the help from being treated for my addiction and my substance, but not for my soul, not for the voids that were empty in me. And there was just so much to work on. And in order to do that, I actually had no other choice but to surrender because I didn't know who to turn. There wasn't anybody to turn to. There wasn't any more support anywhere. It was just almost like a foxhole prayer of God, take me as I am because I don't know what else to do.
mm,
And that's kind of how it started. That's what it looked like for me, was everything that supported me for that lifestyle left. And that included the marriage at the time, that included the five friends and associates that I was around, that included that whole social structure that kept that lifestyle fun, or at least me thinking it was fun until it wasn't there anymore. And then I was just like, this isn't fun. So me not knowing how to let go of wanting that lifestyle was one of the first things that I had to tackle, was one of the first things I had to accept is, why did I want that lifestyle so bad? And in trying to get to that root, God started to really reveal so many things to me just about trauma that I went through, abandonment issues, acceptance issues that were all played a role in the deeper role in me seeking vices other than God, such as addiction and so on. So that was the biggest part for me, I want to say. After rehabilitation, though, recovery started. And recovery looks like, okay, now we've gotten the medicine that you need in you. Now you've gotten, kind of a baseline plan as far as how to continue in this. But now it's time to do the work so that you stay in this.
right.
And I didn't know how to stay in that. And that took me surrendering to God and Him opening up all these opportunities, such as Celebrate Recovery, such as church, such as new people to be around, new groups to be influenced by, spiritual groups to be influenced by, spiritual speakers to be influenced by, just a multitude of things that were nothing of what I knew. We're nothing of past people, places, or things, and we're all new to me. We're all foreign to me, but all what I needed to move forward in recovery and in my life. So that's kind of how it started. That's what it looked like for me, I should say.
Yeah. So it was recovery. So it sounds like you had to have everything taken away for you to kind, which is interesting because there's this unspoken rule, right? In your 40s, you're supposed to have it together. Like, that's when you're supposed to know yourself. You're supposed to have been married for a while. You're supposed to have kids. Like, you supposed to be at cruising altitude in your 40s, and you're saying, nah, that's when everything was taken away, and that's when I was able to even start to find myself.
Yes.
That's that's interesting because we have these thoughts and ideas about frames for people. And one of the things that I realize is that there's no time frame. Like I can't tell you, you can't tell a kid, at what age they supposed to start walking. Like I got kids that started walking at 8, 9 months. I got kids that didn't walk till 11 months, right? And everything in between. But you can't judge the kid that walks at 11 month on the kid that walked at 8, 9 months, because if you do that, then you miss that person. And I think a lot of times we have these expectations, these unwritten expectations, as especially as men and as black men, right? Who these unwritten expectations of, at this time, this is where you're supposed to be. This is what your life is supposed to look like at this age. This is what you're supposed to have accomplished. This is where you're supposed to be, like. And it's like, yo, you'll go crazy trying to compare yourself to other people who meet those markers. You know what I mean? Like like if at 40 you supposed to, I don't know, like at that point you're supposed to have a stable career, right? You been bought a house. You're supposed to be married at that point, settle down. You're supposed to have a kid or two at that point, right? And it's like, first off, says who? Second off,
Yeah.
right? Second off, where is this even a realistic expectation for my life? You know what I'm saying? Like, you said you had to have everything taken away from you, and that happened around age 40. But that's the age you're supposed to be cruising. And I think, like I said, I think one of the curses that we have, it's a gift and a curse, just like many things. Most things are a gift and a curse. But it's the expectations.
Yeah.
It's like we have these expectations based on other people
Yes.
that
Yes.
that does not fit our needs, and
And
does
it's
not fit, not even our needs, but who I am. Like, maybe I'm a slower runner. Maybe you're a sprinter, but maybe I'm good at marathons. Maybe I like to run nice and slow and keep my pace. And maybe you're a sprinter,
hmm
right? But if you're a sprinter, I can't judge my stride based on yours. I need to run my race.
Yeah, and just take this. What if you're a sprinter and you're hanging around all of these marathon runners trying to figure out why you can't run the marathon right trying to sprint?
Right. Right. Or the sprinter sitting there changing their pace for the marathon runner, but don't have the wind to be. They 5 miles in and they ready to die, and the marathon runner just getting warmed up. And it's like you got to run your own race, man, which means you got to have your own expectations, your own rules. You gotta, if you go by society's expectations and rules, you're gonna be
Yeah.
lost.
Lost. Man, there's a term that we all are very familiar with. This is, birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I can attest to is, the people that I hung around, they were all in their 40s and 50s, and they all did the same thing. And none of them wanted kids. Nobody was looking to get a house. Nobody was trying to be established. Nobody was trying to be professional. We were trying to get through the work week to get to partying on the weekends, and half the time partying during the weekdays. And that was the agenda. That was the social agenda for all of us. And when that stopped being the agenda for all of us, as certain people said, you know what, this is enough for me, I'm going this way. This is enough for me, I'm going this way, or got pulled in whichever direction that they got pulled into to not be a part of that social life anymore, there I am trying to hold on to it, not realizing that it's all being taken away from me for a divine reason. But neither here nor there. What I mean by that is, while it was being taken away, I'm fighting for it to stay. And I'm fighting for it to stay in the grips of addiction which is me trying to chase the party more, me trying to drink more, me trying to say more, 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 more as it's being ripped away from me. And the reason I didn't see it as a problem was because when it started, there was so many of us doing the same thing. And so many of us validating each other that this is what we should be doing. This is fun. This is what life should be like. You know, we should all be getting together, having a great time, having fun. And this is what fun looks like. When I was taken away from that, when I was isolated from that, when I was put in the solitude with the creator and was able to say, hey, listen, there's a whole nother side of life you haven't even experienced yet. A side of life that you don't have to be validated for these types of things. You can be validated for being humble, for practicing humility, for being of service, for loving and embracing people. That's when I was like, wow, wow, you know, and it was uncomfortable at first. It was literally a wowing experience. But if I would have remained in that social atmosphere with those people, I would have continued to stay right where I was at had that not been taken away from me. So I wanted to say that I say that to say when it comes to the people that you socialize with, the people that you hold it at high esteem, the people that you try to emulate for whatever reason, you're going to take on those traits and those characteristics, and that will be what governs you. That will be how you live your life. And that was for me for a long, long time until I was, pulled away from that and given different venues, different people, things to look at in life to say, no, your life doesn't have to be like this. Your life can look a totally different way. And this life is good too, even better. But I had to be pulled out of that life in order to be shown a new life that I could actually start to conceptualize and grasp and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't so bad over here. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, because ultimately you're trying to find yourself, but it feels like I'm pulling up here Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You familiar with this, right?
Very
Maslow's
familiar.
hierarchy of needs, right?
Yes.
And I think one of our challenges is trying to getting to this point of love and belonging. I think that's one of our major issues. I'm gonna figure out how to work this thing out good,
It's up
but
there. Yeah.
but I think one of the major issues is we're sitting there trying to figure out how to belong to a group when the reality is the top is self actualization, right? It's trying to figure out the best version of you, and so we will do so much to try to conform to fit inside of a group, even if it's not doing us, even if it's not our higher self or our highest self. It's the feeling of belonging somewhere. And it's funny, it's not funny, it's sad in some ways how we will contort ourselves, back to the mass that we talked about before. It's like we will contort ourselves so that we could belong to it, but in doing that we're neglecting ourselves. So we'll fit the group, but we'll be miserable in the group because we're not moving towards our greater self. And so the challenge is to overcome those expectations, to say, okay, I mean, the group is cool. And don't get me wrong, like, I think there's an exploration period for everybody, and it's not necessarily about age, but it's about, okay, you get with a group, you see if it's good for you. And if it is, then cool. But if it's not, it's an exploration period. It's like, all right, this group don't work for me. This group, like, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me. Okay, this is kind of my lane. This is I kind of rock with this. It's like when I was playing football. uh, I think at first they tried me at middle linebacker. Middle linebacker wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. And so I made some great plays, but long term, it was like this not where you're best suited at. So then try some other stuff. Boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, all right, I'm at defensive end and outside linebacker. Okay, that's where you thrive at. But there's an exploration period, and I think we need to be willing to like explore and fail, and then say, okay, well, that's not for me. Let me move over here. Let me move over there. How do you think that, or the ability to do that, affects your mental health?
I mean, the ability to do that that's is so paramount in actually having a good mental health is being able to actually distinguish between this isn't good for me. Let me go over here and see. I may not know if this is good for me, but let me go and see if this can be good for me over here. But I know that this isn't good for me.
Right.
Just look at the world that we live in. It's being attached to social media and media in itself and the images and pretty much the social norms that they give out to say in society this is okay, or this is how you should conduct yourself, or this is how you should think, or whatever the case may be. If all I can do is attach to that because I can't see anything past that, or say, you know what, as much as this is portrayed and as much as this is fleshed out onto society, this is just not working for me, then I can never get to the side to say, let me find out what does work for me. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes. Yes. So, like, you can never get to the point to where you're finding yourself. I was talking to a young lady today, and she was saying, we were talking about uh actually, we were talking about being smart. This girl is a genius. She's like going to medical school to be a doctor, and she's young. She's in med school. It's brilliant, but she's sitting there, and so I'm like, yeah, you're smart. And she was like, well, some people would think that I'm smart, but compared to some of the people in my class, I'm not that smart. Oh, what? Compared to some of the people in your class, you're not that smart. You're in med school, and because you have these expectations of, I don't know, finishing number one in your class. I've said this before. If I and whenever I say it, the dudes look at me and like, you crazy. First off, you lying. Second off, you crazy. But what I'll say is that if I was starting a society over, let's say I started from scratch, right?
So you're Noah.
I am okay, right?
You're Noah.
So,
Okay.
and I'm starting a society over from scratch. The one thing that we would not have, that I love, is sports. I wouldn't have none. Wouldn't have no sports.
Is that because of the competitive nature that
Yep.
sports bring that
Yes. And it's
shows our
not.
differences before it brings us together?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not necessarily just the competition, because I realize the competition can bring the best out of people. It's not the competition. It's that I'm comparing myself to you now, and in that comparison, I lose myself. I was listening to a podcast and they was talking about Michael Jordan, which I've heard this before, but he was listening to Michael Jordan, and he had interviewed Michael Jordan, and he interviewed Dr. J, and he said, the thing that both of them had in common, and they didn't even know this, but the thing that both of them had in common is that neither one of them was trying to compare themselves to any other player. They were trying to be the best version of themselves. And so in the 80s and the 90s, you got a campaign that says, I want to be like Mike, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
so now everybody's trying to be like Mike, when Mike is saying, I'm not trying to be like nobody. I'm just trying to be the best version of me, which is why he's the best, right?
Yes, I agree.
Even when people put Kobe in the mix, it's like Kobe is a good carbon copy, but he's still a copy. So even if he did it second best, he still didn't do it like the original. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Makes total sense. I know exactly what you're saying.
Like it looked like you questioning that. What's up?
Well, this is the thing about, not to get too far off track, but we'll touch on it real quick. Could you really fault Kobe for emulating what Mike did? Because Mike was trying to be the best he could be. In doing so, Kobe was trying to be the best he could be by emulating someone who trying to be the best they could be.
I can't. No, no. Well, can I fault him? No, because the one thing about Kobe is that Kobe came into the league in what, 18, 17, 18? He came straight out of high school. So he's in that exploration period. He's in that period where he's exploring. So he should be emulating. You know, everybody starts the same way. We emulate people.
Yes.
And that is it's a natural thing. So nobody gets up out of the womb, at 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. Nobody gets up and says, you know what? I'm going to walk the way I want to walk. I'm going to walk on my hands. Nobody does that. You know why nobody does that? Because they're imitating what they see.
Yes.
Right? Nobody comes to a place where in their household they speak English, in their school they speak English, and then they come out speaking Mandarin. No, nobody does that. The reason why is because we're all going through this imitation phase. And so you're learning through imitation. So when you see Kobe in the beginning, yeah, he's imitating. Yes, and he should be. So that's why he shouldn't get criticized for it. It's just an observation.
So you're saying that Michael didn't imitate anybody?
Michael did imitate people. He imitated Dr. J. The only thing was that, and again, in the beginning, like if Dr. J don't dunk from the foul line, then Jordan don't.
Well, everybody sets a bar that the next person tries to break, I think, though.
But before you break it, you imitate it.
Yes. Yeah, to an extent. I mean, to the best of your ability, you do. I would say, though, that in this case, kind of tying along with finding yourself, I don't want to say that Kobe found himself through Michael. Kobe found himself, he is the hardest working basketball player, the hardest practicing basketball player that we've ever known. And one thing, there was an interview that you remember Robert Horry, most championships, right? There was an interview or more championships than Kobe and Mike. But anyways,
yeah.
Robert Horry was talking.
He got 7, right?
He got 7.
Yeah.
Robert Horry was talking about how when Kobe was younger and first kind of came to the league, him and a couple of the other guys would have a 3-point contest after practice. And they would smoke Kobe. Kobe was just a joke at that 3-point contest at the end of it. But every practice, after they were done, Kobe would stay and shoot threes. And before every practice, he was there before everybody shooting threes. And when it was time, he would say, hey, listen, let's do this. And he did that every day until he started beating those guys in the 3-point contest every time.
Yeah, listen.
So dedication to your craft, dedication to what you do, dedication to your work ethic. I mean, could you say, okay, he got his work ethic from Mike? I don't know. Mike has a lot more talents. Mike had a 40-something inch vertical that Kobe didn't have. You know what I mean? There were different things that Kobe was a 6'6" guard that was just supercharged, if that makes sense. He didn't have the vertical that Michael Jordan had. He didn't have necessarily the technical IQ when it came to basketball that Michael Jordan had, but he asked the questions and he practiced and he did it day in and day out until he got it his way.
Yes. And like I said, like it's not a criticism of him, because he's in that exploration time period, but he had to hit his proverbial rock bottom as well. See, the difference is Jordan hit his proverbial rock bottom in 10th grade.
Right. When he got kicked out, got cut.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when he hit that proverbial rock bottom, he started then. He said, okay, boom, I need to be the best. Who's the best? Dr. J, imitate. Let's go. And so that's part of the reason why when people was talking about Jordan and talking about Len Bias, it was like Len Bias would have been better in the NBA. I went back and watched some tape of Len Bias. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have been better than Jordan in the NBA. He wouldn't have. But they look at that.
Len Bias was my man now. That's Maryland's finest right there.
Len Bias was great, man. Yeah. But Jordan was still ascending because Jordan was finding himself. Yes, the work ethic definitely took a part of it. Like that's a major part, not to be overlooked, you know. But I think that when we see Kobe at 18, 19, 20, we see Kobe trying to be Jordan. We see him imitating Jordan. Listen, Kobe started walking like Jordan. Kobe put the earring in like Jordan. Kobe. You know, Kobe was. Kobe even cut his hair. Kobe was trying to be like Jordan, which I mean, if you're gonna imitate somebody, you might as well imitate the best. But then, like I always say, the first three championships that he got, they're not his. They're Shaq's.
Shaq.
Like Shaq was the man on the squad. But when you look at when Kobe came into himself, those last two, those was his. That and that's when you see Kobe's coming into Kobe. He has found himself, but he found himself because he hit the rock bottom. So it's not a slight on him because everybody does it. And this is why I would start a society without sports. Because here it is, we talking about Jordan and Kobe, right? And some people would be like, man, y'all hating on Kobe. No, I'm comparing the best to the best. I'm not hating on Kobe. You know, when you're talking about the best and the best, you got to split hairs. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you're saying he's the best. He's one of the best.
So
How is that hate?
do you not? Well, that's a. I was gonna say, do you not view sports as entertainment? Do you view it as more? That's a topic for something else. Let's get back on.
Well, but see, this is the thing. The issue is that though the sports creates the competition, which creates expectations compared to other people.
Yeah, but don't we compare each other? Don't we compare each other? Without sports, do people still not do things to compare? To
Yes,
compete.
but
To compete.
yes,
Sorry. Do we play spades? Do we play dominoes? Do we play freeze tag? Do we play whatever the case may be and try to be the best at it?
yeah, but it's all the same thing. So maybe I should get rid of whole competition altogether. Games. The idea is that it creates the culture of I'm better than you.
I see what you're saying, but the only thing that I would have to say to that would be if somebody's trying to be the best they can be,
Mm-hmm.
would there not be a natural type of competing, even if somebody wasn't doing sports, even if somebody wasn't doing games? Would there not be some type of natural competition that came under that umbrella just because someone was trying to see how good or they could be, or if they could be the best at something? You don't think so?
No,
Okay.
no, not if that culture doesn't breed that. See, our see, it's hard to even imagine what it would look like because our culture is so full of it that it's hard for us to imagine what would a culture without sports look like? Like what would a culture without no competition look like? It would look like people running for it would look like no sporting events,
Well, I
zero.
think the thing is, it's almost sounding like we're all different parts of the body. Instead of looking at what the other part is doing, we should concentrate on what we're doing and be the best part of the body we can be. Now,
Yes.
here's the thing. I am with you on that. I'm with you on that. But at some point, let's just take a teacher or a preacher or something. When you have someone else that does that same job that you do,
Hmm.
there's a natural competition there between human beings. Why does this teacher teach the same thing I teach but can teach it better?
You're saying natural as in,
When you have someone that does the same thing as someone else, there's always going to be a natural competition that comes from that.
but what I'm saying is that natural competition comes from the fact that we've created the culture. It's not natural in the sense that it's human nature. It's natural in the sense that our culture has
Well, let
developed.
me wait a minute. Why did Cain kill Abel?
Why did Cain kill Abel?
Because Abel produced a better product, right? Wait. Let's talk about. So there's some competition here. He produced a better product. God was favored with him more, with Abel more, because
Mhm.
of what he gave. So you don't see the competition that was naturally there way before sports even existed, way before a culture even existed.
No, because because there's a bunch of things that are left out. So if you're going to say that this is the beginning of everything, I can understand why that would be your interpretation, which a lot of people who are hearing you would say, yeah, those are the first two brothers, right? The only problem is we got a whole lot of problems. We got a whole lot of problems because those brothers took wives. Remember, we got a whole lot of problems that are outside of that. So no, because I don't. So this will come and this that's an interesting podcast right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
because because my interpretation of Genesis is that it's more of a parable and it's not an exact story. And so when the way you're looking at it, if you're saying, okay, well this is the first time, and these are it's just Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, and these are the only people on the earth. Well, if that's what you're saying, well then you would be absolutely correct. Yes, that would make a lot of sense. However, I would say that that's not correct, and then we would have to find where these wives came from.
Okay, so let's just say they didn't have wives
Hmm.
and they were still just offering a sacrifice.
Okay,
Wasn't one more pleasing to God than the other?
that's just yeah, yeah,
Okay. My point about that alone is there's a competition there to give a better sacrifice. Otherwise, Cain wouldn't have cared that his sacrifice wasn't as pleasing.
yes. And my what I'm saying is that that makes sense in our culture. Yes, because
Okay.
we created that. What I'm saying is,
We created. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah, we created that.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is that if you went to a country, a different country, let's say it was like the DR or something, and you went to a whole another country, and these people were not interested in sports, they're not interested in soccer, they're not interested in baseball, they're interested in thriving as a community,
Mm, yes.
right? Then nobody's sitting there saying, you run faster than such and such, we're gonna uh, it's like, no, who cares? Does that support all of us? Well, if it don't support all of us, then guess what? I'm not. I'm not. I'm not that intrigued. It's nice that you run fast. That's cool.
I see
But
what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
and all I'm saying is that that's an issue for for us in building these expectations. Because all right, here's a question for you: have you ever found yourself trying to prove your worth?
Yes, and not being able to do it and trying and trying my hardest to prove something that can't be done. Absolutely. Yes.
So
Yes.
so so here it is. You sitting up here trying to prove
Hmm.
that you worthy to somebody. Based on what qualification? Based on what?
Based on what qualifications? I'm trying to prove that I'm worthy to somebody, as in, you need to want me in your life because of this. Whatever that list looks like. And the whole time they're like, no, 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 no. You can list all you want to. You're not worthy to be in my life no matter what your list is. And here I go listing more things to say, well, no, you haven't heard this yet. You haven't heard this yet. And it's, no, it doesn't matter what that list is. I don't want you in my life. And in my mind, or probably a lot of people's minds, it's, but I'm worthy. I do all this and this and this and this. Why wouldn't you want me in your life? Because I don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here you are trying to prove a worth
Mm-hmm.
that, for whatever reason, whatever your list is, because of these reasons, you feel that that person should validate you as being worthy in their life. And no matter what you do, how big your list is, how many times you change it, how many times you re-emphasize what it is that you feel makes you worthy to be in their life, You can't do it because they don't want you in their life, and they don't feel that you're worthy to be in their life. And here you go trying to prove something that you can't prove. It'll never happen.
And that's the key. You're trying to prove it. How do you prove something? Well, I got this much money in my account. I got this. I got that. I can provide this. I can provide that. Well, ultimately, what you're doing is you're comparing. So a dude says, "Okay, I got $1 in my account." You know what I'm saying? You know, I got a job that pays $12,000 a year. You know, okay, so that means I'm worthy. But other people will look at that and like, you got $1 in your account. Now, automatically, as soon as you do that, what are you doing?
You are putting out, what are you doing?
Like the person who says, dude, you got $1 in your account. What is that person doing?
They're comparing.
They're comparing, right? They're judging.
But I was
But
about to
what are they
say,
comparing to?
to them or to what they feel is better than you.
Right? And the bar keeps moving.
Well, yeah, because no matter how good you are, the comparisons will never add up because they're not trying to compare you to be who. They're not trying to make you look good in this situation. No matter what you do, you're always going to look bad because they're going to be comparing down. But you don't have that. But you don't have this. But you don't. Even if they don't got it.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. It's like us comparing Jordan and Kobe. I can't ball like neither one of them. And yet I'm sitting up here comparing them to.
I don't think, yeah, but I think that we were giving them their flowers more so than trying to say this person didn't have this and this person didn't have that.
Yes, we were. But the point still remains. It's like because of this competition and these expectations which are based on other people,
So do
now
you
I
think,
have to.
is there not a such thing as healthy competition?
Yes. See, here's the thing. There's a lot of things in our culture that can be very healthy that I would not have in our
That you wouldn't
culture.
have.
Heck yeah.
Because ultimately, what is the demise of it?
Well, ultimately, so
So
what
you
is the
wouldn't have healthy
demise of it?
culture. You wouldn't have healthy competition because ultimately what? It
Because
separates people.
ultimately it still breeds competition. And the problem is that so you're always going to shoot for the top. If you're not number one, you're what? You're last, right?
Yeah. If you're not
And
first, you're
so
last.
if you're not first, you're last. And so the problem is everybody's going to shoot for the top. So now I got to take you down to get here, to get here, to get here, to get here, to
Stop
get
right
here.
there. What I think that, okay, that's where, let me just interject this. Why I think this is the problem. The problem is that we think that that top tier is
Yeah.
only good enough. There's an analogy that you gave me about two
Yes.
different types of people that take tests. One person takes the same exact test as the other person, and there's 10 questions. He gets 8 of the answers right. The other person takes the test and they get 8 of the answers right. Well, one person says, "Man, I got 8 answers right. I'm really smart."
Mm-hmm.
The other person looks at that test and says, "Man, that test was easy. I can't believe I missed those 2 questions. I ain't smart at all."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we were to say, no, 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 the problem is we take that separation and say, no, 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 that separation means that that person's better than you, not
Yes.
that you being right here is just as good.
Right. Right.
I don't know how to get to a society where that separation isn't judged or that separation isn't aspect of how people feel about themselves or how people's self-worth or whatever you want to call it is
Mm-hmm.
judged or is how do
We
you want
we
to
don't. We can't get there because of what we have experienced. The only way that we would be able to get there is if our
fresh
society is wiped out. Yeah, we would have to have a Noah like disaster to where we have to go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and all we care about right now is food and water and the basics. And even then, it will be kind of hard in our society because of our proclivity to challenge one another. And some people would say that's like human nature. I don't know where I stand on that. But I'm like, creating these expectations is what's keeping us from being the best version of ourselves, because I'm comparing myself to you. Like even now we have this whole, you remember what's my man name, Kevin Samuels. He would always talk about the high value man, right? And it's like, okay, well, now all the women want a high value man. So now all these dudes trying to be a high value man. And it's like, why you, but and it's hard to tell somebody not to compare yourself to that when that's what everybody wants.
Listen to this. What was Kevin Samuel? What was he ultimately before his podcast and his radio show?
I don't know. What
He
was it?
was an image coach. He was an image consultant.
Okay.
I'm giving you the image that you are a high valued man. You may not have the six figures and you may not have the title, you may not have the prestige, but I'm going to let you speak like you do, show you how to dress like you do, and give you the characteristics that make you look and sound like a high valued man. That would be your
Right.
image.
Okay.
So that's your selling point. That's your mask. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you are. I say that to say, even in all of his podcasts saying, okay, well, this is what a high value man looks like. He never took the time to say that in his definition of a high value man only covered about 3% of America.
Right. Well, no, he does say that. He said that plenty of times.
Oh, well.
He said that plenty of times. But that's the problem. Because he had such a loud voice, people are looking at that like, okay, that's my expectation. Like, that's what I should be looking for. And then women are looking like, okay, well, shoot, if you don't make 120, then you ain't nothing. And it's like,
Whoa. That's not just, okay. Do you remember a dating site called Tinder? You ever heard of Tinder? It was like Tinder, something like that. And they had like your profiles could be ranked. You know what I mean? Depending on what traffic you had, depending on whatever the case may be. But men's profiles could be ranked and women's profiles could be ranked, right? They actually did a study. They did a study of the website. And the study showed that 60% of the men were going after 40% of the women. While on the female side, 90% of the women were going after 10% of the men.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So
that's what I'm saying. It's the race to the top. And that's the problem. See, this is and the main issue is media is playing a huge part in this. See, because back in what, like, let's go back like 50s and 60s, when you didn't have social media, only thing you had was the people in your neighborhood. You know how many times I heard people say, "Man, I didn't even know we."
Yes. Yes.
Guess what? You can't say that today.
No, you know you poor if you poor today. Oh yeah, they're gonna let you know. You may not even be poor and you thinking you poor today.
That's what I'm saying. Because the bar has been because the bar keeps going like this. And so when you sit there and you say, listen, my best is here. Well, the bar is already up here. So your best ain't good enough. So now you got 90% of the women looking for this.
And you're not there.
And you ain't there. Because and 90% of them women, the top dudes don't want 98% of them.
Here's the flip side. The top 10% of the dudes wasn't even checking for those 90%. They were checking for like the top 5% of those women. So it was crazy.
Top 2%.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, man, it's wild.
Not even that, because again, there's these expectations on both sides. It's not just men. Women got expectations too. But we men. So we talking about men expectations, and I think like for example, the family. What's the role of a man in the family?
Provider.
Exactly. See, and every man would say that. Provide and protect. Every man would say that. Right?
What does that look like for every man?
That part. And here's the problem. You make 60,000, but your girl make 120.
Does that still mean you can't provide and protect for her, though? In society, it does.
Who's the main breadwinner, right? Who's the one who's actually providing? let's say, matter of fact, let's say she make 250 and you a stay at home dad.
Well,
Who's providing?
according to Kevin Samuels, you weren't in her class, so you shouldn't have been with her in the first place. That's on you.
And that's that. And according to our society, listen, we got a sick society. We're sick. And so he's right. He would have been right. But the issue is that we have these expectations for family. We got these media is like social media has made every man think that he's fat.
He got a small penis.
He
He got no money. He broke. He's unattractive.
like, dude,
Yeah, trust me. Yes, that is so true.
you know what
Look,
I'm saying?
yes, yes.
Like our whole society, like social media is so obviously, like if I was starting a society, social media wouldn't be a thing. And if you go back to the 50s and 60s and before all of this started happening, like I said, people didn't even know they were broke, and they lived happily, like they lived happy lives. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
were
The social constructs, though, are more than they've almost deemed it that if you are not a man above 6 feet and you're not handsome, and
mhm,
that
mhm,
those are the only men that deserve women. The ones that look like this, and if you're not a Coke bottle female, well, it used to be Coke bottle. Now, if you don't got a voluptuous backside and a voluptuous front side and a face of a goddess, you're not worth a man. And it's just like, when did we start buying into all these social norms? When did the standard of beauty mean that what's beautiful to you has to be the same beauty to me?
right,
When did we start falling for that? Because that wasn't always the case. Was there something that says, you know what, this is attractive? People find these people attractive across the board. Yes, I'm sure. But that doesn't mean that my standard of beauty has to be any lesser than your standard of beauty, because what you look at is cool with you and what I look at is cool with me. But that doesn't mean that my cool is worse than your cool, or your
mhm,
cool is better than my cool. Hey, you take your beauty and go with it. I'm gonna take my beauty and go with it. But
mhm,
no, there's this tug of war, or this war of especially between men and women, black men and women at that. But this war of, no, your beauty's not good enough. This
right,
beauty's not good enough. No,
right.
this money's not good enough. This money's not. This rank isn't good enough. This title isn't good enough. All this isn't good enough. And now you got everybody just in a cluster, confused, for lack of a better term. I don't want to cuss, but just in a we're at a period right now where everybody has fought into so many farces and so many fond notions of what life should be, of what people should be, of what people should adhere to societal norms, and hold these truths and put their morals and who they are into societal norms. When it's, no, I don't fit that category. And it's okay that I don't. She doesn't fit this category, and it's okay that she doesn't, and we can still work together and compromise and work things out and make life beautiful together. Not, no, we're not in that social norm, so our life's just gonna have to suck.
But dude, I mean, our society is just so screwed up. It's like you can't have a dude who say, "Listen, hey, man, I drive a Camry. You know, I make $60,000, and I'm happy with my life." And a woman be like, "You know what? I got a Honda Accord, and I make 55, and I'm happy with my life. And you know what? We can come together." It's like, no, you don't make enough. No, you don't do this. You don't do, and it's because we look at stupid social media, and we look at these bammers with, making all this money, and it's like, nah, if you don't, you drive a Camry, you can't even get, if you don't got a Lexus, a Mercedes, or it's like, hold up, what? Like,
Yeah, but these people haven't even found themselves. Their self is the representation of all the material things that they have.
and and these are the people
That we,
that are exploring themselves in their 20s and in their 30s or whatever, and then they get into their 40s, and then they realize they missed out on the people who would love them, who would cherish them, who they could build something with. They
yeah,
missed out. They missed out. And
yeah,
our expectations are doing this, and it's not just men having expectations, because Everybody has expectations, and it's a cultural issue. But even when we talk about men and we talk about social media, so all right, so here's the thing: when we're looking at men and we're looking at men's expectations, the question is this: what does success look like? Because ultimately, everybody wants to be successful.
We talking about financial success? Or we just talking about
Well,
success as a whole?
here's the thing: everybody want to be successful, right? I think there was a song. One that, who did that song? I want the money, money in the cars, cars in the clouds.
Yeah, Trey song.
Yeah. I just want to be successful, right? And it's like you want the money, money in the cars, cars in the clouds. Oh, so that's what success means, money. And I think a lot of our society, that's what it means.
People
And
will
so
sell their souls for money.
my question is, all right, it's 2025, right? Let's say Ansu is is king of the world and
Yeah, okay.
gets to define what success means
Mm,
for men
sure.
across the board. It is whatever you say. If you say you're successful if you make $100,000, then daggone it, that's what success is. If you say you got to be a millionaire to be successful, daggone it, that's what success is. If you say money ain't got nothing to do with success, daggone it, then that's what success is. What
Man,
success look like?
it's a far cry from what social media presents success is, or what the media or what music defines success is. My
And
definition of
and
success.
and also, I want to give another caveat, right? So it's what is success, right? And why?
Why? Okay, this is, before I answer that, I'm just going to make a blanket statement real quick. I think one of the saddest things, I think I heard this from you, but one of the saddest things that a man can do is go through his entire life without ever finding his purpose. Doesn't matter how much money he made, doesn't matter how much material wealth he's accumulated. If a man has gone through his entire life without ever finding or fulfilling his purpose, I think it's one of the saddest things, because it's what's God's free gift to us. Me standing here today, what I would define success is, one, having a firm, rooted relationship with your higher power, whatever your higher power is. I would say success is knowing who you are via that higher power or through that higher power. And thirdly, finding your purpose through your identity, through your higher power, and living that purpose and seeing all of the, being able to utilize all the God-given gifts and talents that comes with you living in your purpose, and people being able to see you doing this so that you're light to people, so that you are an example of, when I am not defined by society and I'm not defined by the people around, necessarily the people around me, but I'm defined by my relationship with my higher power, my identity that I found through my higher power, and the purpose that I'm achieved, and the things that I'm achieving through living my purpose because of all the gifts and talents that I have to fulfill this purpose. Therefore, I stand successful.
Mm.
That would be my definition of success right now.
So relationship with your higher power. Go through that again. You said relationship with your
A
higher power.
firm, rooted relationship with your higher power. Not
Right.
religion, but relationship with your higher
Mm-hmm.
power.
Mm-hmm.
Getting your identity, knowing who you are through your higher power, having identity through your higher power and not anything or anyone around you, and finding and living your purpose so that your God-given gifts and talents can be utilized to the fullest because you're living in your purpose and doing your purpose. That to me is light.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a saying that if you do what you love, you never work a day in your
Never
life,
work
right?
light.
And I I think that's what purpose is. When you find your purpose, you're doing what you love. You're not working. You will quote unquote work day and night, but you're not working.
And why do you love it? Because it's the authentic you.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
have to be forced.
It doesn't. And the interesting thing about that is that you could be that guy who's making $12,000 a year and be joyful, be full of be full of bliss, be full of be stress free, be the happiest person anybody has ever met because you're doing what you love. And all you and you could just be or maybe not 12,000 in this society, but let's say you're making 30 and you're a janitor at a school, and but you love it and you love connecting with the kids and you love cleaning and that's what you love to do. And it's like I, some of the happiest people I remember in high school was the janitors, custodians, whatever you want to call them. They took care of the school, but they was the coolest people. They had like they were so humble, so in their way, very successful because they loved what they were doing. They loved connecting with the kids. They loved the solid and it is something about because I've cleaned toilets before. It is something about looking at your work. It's something about it's something about being able to, quite frankly, go into a bathroom that's filthy and walk out with that thing spick and span and got the little glow and you got the little sheen on it, and it's like instant gratification for that's my work.
Yeah.
I did that. My hands did that, and that person can feel fulfilled and they're
Yes.
walking in their purpose.
Yes. Yes.
But then we would compare them to the principal. And it's like, come on, man, stop it. Stop it.
Yes, yes, that's what, and that is what happens when you tie in material with purpose. You lose. You're now introducing something that has nothing to do with the other, but putting it side by side so that you have to compare through. And what I mean by that is if I'm in my purpose and I'm free and I'm living and I'm happy and I'm doing great, just as you said, whether you're a janitor or what have you, as long as that material side attached to it says, hey, as happy as it is, he only drives this. As happy as he is, he only lives here. As happy as it is, he can only afford this. That's when we take away from the beauty of somebody in their purpose, because trust me, they're not worried about that. You are.
Yeah. And that's when you allow other people to create the expectations that you now own, that's a recipe for disaster. And I promise you that the one good thing about social media, I mentioned earlier, everything it's a gift and a curse. Social media is a gift and a curse. But one of the good things about social media is that you now see there's groups for anything.
Yeah.
There's a group for anything.
Yes.
There's, so you can have the quirkiest, weirdest ideas or thoughts or habits, and you can find some group that has the same quirky, weird ideas. And the good thing about that is that it prevents you from saying, you know what, there's something wrong with me. Let me fit inside this group. Now you can say, you know what, this group is not for me. Let me go find my people. And it's easier to do. But I still think, last thing, because
We got it. We got it. Yeah, the show does.
still feel like, listen, our we when trying to find ourselves, unfortunately, we carry too many expectations from other people.
Expectations, I heard, were premeditated disappointments.
Premeditated disappointments. Yeah, I think oftentimes they are. Oftentimes they are. And when those expectations are what you carry towards yourself, like it's detrimental to your mental health. It's detrimental to your relationships. It's detrimental to you're killing yourself trying to pay for this used Bentley,
That
and
was
then
never
when
for you.
it wasn't for you, and then when it break down, you short, and then she gone anyway.
And she gone anyway.
You know what
And
I'm saying?
so is everything in your pockets. It
Everything in
should
your
have gone
pocket.
to something else and someone else.
You could have been saving up and got a nice little Honda Accord and could have been straight, but nah, you want to ball out. You want to, and it's like you I hate that saying, trying to keep up with the Joneses.
So true.
You know, because I'm a Jones, and I'm like, I ain't keeping up with shoot, man, shoot.
Right, right, right.
You know, we need to change that. And they're trying to keep up with the Musks or something. But it's like, yeah, we need to.
Or just keep up with God.
That's
Because he
hey,
has it all. He has it all there for you. He has it all there for you. We just don't look to him for it anymore. We look to, we are the. That's one thing I tell a lot of people. We are the first people to blame God for everything, but the last to go to him for anything. And that has to change.
mm, on that note, you know what I mean. I think I listen. On that note, you're right.
Yep.
Right. Let's go to God for our expectations. Look, um, we gonna come back next week.
We'll come back next week.
All right. Well, at the end of the day, listen. Yeah, look, let God create your expectations. Right. Let God create your expectations and go from there. And I loved your definition for success too, because I think that's important. Your higher power and finding your purpose and the relationship. That's where it's at. That's where true success is. And hopefully we'll start to get back to that.
That's it,
That-
brother.
On that
Appreciate a
note,
great show, man.
yes, sir. All
Yes.
right. See you next
See
week.
you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.